Hey guys, Serac here, and today I'm bringing you my UA deck profile for my Yu-Gi-Oh! On a Budget series. So this recently got some support in Phantom Rage, and it's a really cheap deck due to not relying on an extra deck, and most of the deck being common or uncommon. So let's get on with the profile. First, we have 3 copies of the new card UA Libero Spiker. Now, this is, most importantly, a normal summon, a level 4 Earth Warrior that we can normal summon. All the UAs have the same first effect, where they can special summon themselves from the hand by bouncing a UA monster you control. And then UA Libero Spiker allows you to shuffle one from your hand into your deck, then special summon a UA monster from your deck with a different name, and then bounce it back to the hand. And it lets you do that in your opponent's turn, so you can get more disruptions out of your deck. We then have 2 copies of UA Midfielder. Midfielder, again, all of them have the same special summon clause. It's another level 4 warrior, which is very useful. So it's a normal summon. And then it allows you to do the same thing as Libero Spiker, but instead of from the deck, it does it from the hand. So these are the ways you make extra interruptions in your opponent's turn. We have UA Player Manager, 2 copies. This is one of the few that doesn't have the return to the hand, but it has its own special summoning clause if you special summon or normal summon a UA monster. And then if it's special summoned, you get to activate an effect. You either get to destroy a card on the field or negate the effects of all face-up monsters on the field until the end of the turn. So this is really useful disruption in combination with cards like Midfielder and Libero Spiker to stop your opponent's plays in their tracks. We then have 2 copies of UA Perfect Ace. This allows you to negate a card or effect. So it's an omni-negate by discarding any one card. Very simple. Not hard once per turn, so if for whatever reason you can get 2 of these on the field, you can use that more than once. We then have 1 copy of Rival Rebounder, which allows you to special summon a UA monster from your hand or graveyard, so allows you to get more field presence. And finally, then we've got a couple more UAs. We have 1 Dreadnought Dunker. This is our OTK machine. It inflicts piercing battle damage and allows you to destroy cards when it inflicts battle damage. And then finally, we have UA Blockbacker. UA Blockbacker, when your opponent special summons a monster, change its battle position and negate its effect. So that's the UAs. Now, for the next card, so the optimal version of this deck runs Pot of Extravagance. We can't afford that because it's still £25 a copy, so I've put in Fantastical Dragon Phantasme instead. Now, obviously, Dragon Link, Prank Kids, and so on, Link-focused decks, so this just allows us to sculpt our hand and get hold of the cards that we need, because the thing we lose is the consistency of having 3 copies of Pot of Extravagance. So that's why I've chosen to run Phantasme. Then we have 3 copies of Skullmeister. Thanks to the recent reprint, this is really accessible now, so make sure you get your copies of Skullmeister. It's a really good card, allowing us to negate any graveyard effect. So that is the monster lineup. We then have the spell lineup. We have UA gets 2 field spells. So we have UA Hyper Stadium, which allows us to add any UA monster, or FA, but we're not playing FAs, from our deck to our hand, or we can add UA Stadium from our graveyard to our hand. We can then reveal a field spell and pay 1,000 life points, normal summon 1 UA or FA, in addition to our normal summon. So it gives us a double summon and it searches essentially every card in the deck. So it's very useful for that. And then we have UA Stadium, the old field spell. If it's normal summoned, you get to search for a UA monster. If a monster is normal summoned, you get to search for a UA monster. And then if a monster is special summoned, you get to give all your monsters 500 attack. Again, both of these are not hard one. The normal summon is not once per turn at all. So with extra normal summons, with things like Hyper Stadium, you can get multiple searches, and the attack gain is once per turn. But if you play this multiple times, then you can give more attack boosts if you needed to. We have 3 copies of UA Signing Deal. It's a special summon from the deck. Very, very, very good card. We lose a little bit of life points, but that's almost irrelevant. It negates its effect, but obviously we can still bounce it back to the hand. We then have 3 copies of UA Powered Jersey. This is our OTK machine. It gives a UA monster 1,000 attack and defense, doubles any battle damage, and if it destroys a monster, you can attack again. So it's incredibly, incredibly strong. And if you bounce the monster it's equipped to, it returns straight to your hand. So it's a very, very strong OTK enabler for this deck. 3 copies of Foolish Burial Goods. It puts the field. It's another way of searching the field spell if you have a copy of Hyper Stadium, and it puts Penalty Box into the graveyard if we need it. 1 Rotor. This deck really, really likes to be able to search its copies of Midfielder and Libero Spiker. 1 Terraforming. We run lots of field spells. The field spells work well together. We like having copies of them. Same with 1 copy of Set Rotation. We don't have to run extra field spells for this because we run 2 field spells anyway. 1 copy of UA Penalty Box. We're mainly using this for its graveyard effect to search either Signing Deal or Powered Jersey. But it is also some nice quick removal for problematic monsters that you can't get over in battle, and it also doesn't target. So it's not dead if you draw it. 1 red Reboot because fuck trap decks, and we're trying to OTK. We really don't want to run into trap cards. And finally, we have 3 copies of Gozen Match. This could be a lot of things. I went for Gozen Match. It's very, very good against lots of the Dragon Link boards require to put multiple attributes on the monster, on the board, such as with Romulus, that locks them into winds. They might not be able to extend through that. Prank Kids runs lots of different attributes. Even the Invoke Dogmatica Eldritches would get locked into a light or a dark side of their deck. So this can be very, very helpful in the games where you're made to go first. So that is the deck list. It's very, very cheap and budget because 90% of the deck is common, and it plays very, very differently to most other decks around in the meta right now. So I hope you enjoyed that deck list, and I will see you again soon.